Number 9. Daniel Colazzo. On December the 16th of 2011, a temporary worker at the Tribe Mediterranean Foods hummus factory in Taunton, Massachusetts, died after he got caught in a piece of industrial equipment. 28-year-old Daniel Colazzo was part of the evening cleaning crew and performing maintenance on a bean mashing machine. Colazzo's arms got stuck inside the masher when its 9-inch rotating blade started turning. He kept being pulled into the machine, which also crushed part of his head, inflicting devastating injuries. The emergency services were called to the scene at around 1 a.m. and Colazzo passed away in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. The plant's parent company was fined over $500,000 by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration in connection to the incident for not properly training its cleaning workers on lockout-tagout procedures. It also emerged that the owner had been fully aware of the extreme safety risk. Federal officials had fined them for failing to follow the safety protocol at another of their New England food processing plants just 2 years prior. Records indicated that at the time investigators had reported the probability that a fatality could occur is likely certain within a year's time frame. Today's featured fan shout-out is Instagram follower Daunting Dauntless 81. To appear in our next video, send us your pic rocking the latest merch from theywillkillyou.com and send it in to us on Instagram today. Number 8. Chinese woman. An incident at a bus stop in Huangpu, Hankou City in China's Hebei province caused outrage on the country's internal social media platforms in 2018. An unnamed woman, only reported as being in her 20s, had tripped over her luggage after getting off the bus on February the 17th. She fell and landed with her neck between two metal bars only about a palm's width apart on a U-shaped metal fence, commonly found throughout the country. She got stuck and the bars cut off the oxygen supply to her brain. City police and paramedics arrived about 16 minutes after the incident, and the woman was pronounced dead at the scene. It typically only takes about 5 to 10 minutes without oxygen for brain death to occur. Once photos of the woman's lifeless body began circulating on social media, many users were furious that officials hadn't addressed the reoccurring problem associated with the fence model. In 2013, a woman had died in Beijing in similar fashion. The 26-year-old had been left with her head suspended between the railings for roughly half an hour in broad daylight before anyone tried to help. Surveillance footage showed bystanders gathering around to look at her and take photos without attempting to intervene. A pensioner also died on a similarly shaped Beijing fence in 2015, followed by a pregnant woman in 2016. Number 7. Amari Dancy. A game of hide-and-seek at a home in Woodbridge, Virginia ended in the intervention of the local fire department in April of 2020 after a young woman became trapped in an appliance. 18-year-old Amari Dancy had been playing the game with her younger cousins and tried to hide in a top-loader washing machine. The teenager quickly realized that she was stuck and cried out for help to her cousins, who, in turn, alerted older relatives present in the home. Dancy's aunt documented the events that followed and posted the content to Instagram, as she'd deemed it a cautionary tale for others looking to stave off boredom during the pandemic lockdown. Shortly after 11 p.m., over half a dozen members of the Prince William County Department of Fire and Rescue arrived at the home. 4 firefighters were able to remove the top of the appliance and create enough space for Dancy to be pulled out. The teenager whimpered with discomfort as she was lifted from the washer, but was otherwise unharmed. Number 6. Virginia Lopez Severiano and Bibiana Arellano de Labra. In the spring of 2022, an accident at the Azteca Market in Selma, North Carolina resulted in the death of a 44-year-old worker. Virginia Lopez Severiano was cleaning an industrial food mixer at the bread factory when half of her body got trapped in the machine. It was reported that the piece of equipment was still on when the woman had begun the maintenance work. The Selma Fire Department was alerted and a tedious rescue effort unfolded over the course of nearly 90 minutes. Firefighters used small tools to take the machine apart and free Lopez Severiano. She was airlifted to Duke University Hospital, where she succumbed to her injuries overnight. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration launched an investigation into the death, which was the second to occur at a North Carolina bread factory within the span of a month. Bibiana Ariano de Labra, aged 22, had also been operating an industrial mixer at a Northeast Foods factory in Clayton. She was fatally crushed by the machine, but like with Lopez Severiano's case, the particularities of the accident weren't disclosed pending the official inquiry. Number 5. Ukrainian man. In the summer of 2021, the photo of a Ukrainian man stuck in a half-open window earned considerable attention online. The man had reportedly been spending time at his ex-girlfriend's home where, at some point, he'd been pressuring her into having intimate relations. The woman refused, and an argument ensued. She asked her former partner to leave the area, but the man, reported as being drunk at the time, wouldn't relent in his pursuit. He later tried to gain access to his ex's home through a half-open window, with the reported intention of begging her for intercourse. He got stuck sideways in the process, with his lower half sticking out of the home. It wasn't clear how long he remained trapped, with some sources reporting it had been for several hours, before the woman discovered him in the window and called the police. The emergency services rushed the man to the hospital after they found him unconscious and on the verge of suffocation. Number 4. Rosie Cole. British student Rosie Cole was drinking with her housemates at their accommodation in Beresford Avenue, North Hull, in the fall of 2020. After they'd indulged in several bottles of wine and honey tequila, 21-year-old Cole was dared to get inside the dryer. The inebriated young woman thought there was no chance she'd fit, but nevertheless decided to attempt the impromptu contortion act. Cole got in feet first, wiggled her hips inside, and was, by her own admission, surprised with how easily it went. However, as her legs got crossed behind her, the young woman's lower half got stuck inside the machine. Laughter initially filled the room in the video-recorded incident. The mood slightly began to shift once Cole's housemates realized that she couldn't get out, and the dryer tilted forward whenever they tried to force the extraction. Cole's arms eventually got tired and she was no longer able to support her weight, which left her face down on the floor and with her backside in the air. The fire brigade was called, and Cole would later explain the decision as they save cats from trees, so maybe they could save students from tumble dryers. One of her housemates was awoken by the sound of sirens and rushed downstairs thinking the house had caught fire. The young woman would later describe the scene she'd stumbled upon as the funniest thing she'd ever seen, and immediately started filming as 3 firefighters worked to remove Cole from the dryer. The men, described by the embarrassed student as lovely in their interaction with her, were ultimately successful in the rescue effort and, before leaving, jokingly opened the washing machine, asking if anyone else needed saving. Number 3. Jorge Herrera. Around Christmas time in 2016, California teen Jorge Herrera snuck out of his home in the Stockton area against the curfew imposed by his parents. To avoid being scolded by them, the 18-year-old then tried to get back inside the living room, where he usually slept, through the chimney. Herrera got in feet first, but then got stuck at chest level. As later reported by the Stockton Battalion Fire Department chief, the teenager likely spent the entire night halfway inside the chimney. When firefighters were eventually called to the home, they spotted Herrera's legs dangling out into the living room. Rescuers removed a considerable amount of bricks from the chimney and poured soapy water down the chute to help the teen's body get loose. They then used ladders and a harness to hoist him out. Herrera was reported as being embarrassed by the incident, but otherwise unharmed. Number 2. Casey Munchow. On May the 11th of 2022, a body was found in a car submerged in floodwaters near Mackay in Australia's Queensland state. The victim, subsequently identified as 31-year-old Casey Munchow, was still strapped into her seat upon being discovered by local authorities. It later emerged that the woman, who ran a successful wedding photography business in the area, had been traveling with 2 other people on Surprise Creek Road in Mount Osa when the vehicle was swept by floodwaters. The passengers, only identified as a 50-year-old Mount Charlton man and a 30-year-old Mount Pelion woman, were able to get out. Munchow, however, became stuck in her seat. Her vehicle was still visible from the road, but it got covered in water by the time rescuers arrived in the area. Munchow was survived by her husband and 3 children. Number 1. Sydney Joe. 27-year-old Sydney Joe from Ann Arbor, Michigan, documented a mishap with a metal folding chair on TikTok. In the summer of 2021, Joe had gotten stuck in the chair and begun panicking after trying absolutely everything to get out. One of the clips showed her standing with her waist trapped between the seat of the chair and the bars attached to the legs, akin to a medieval torture device. Others on the platform offered potential solutions. One of them was for the woman to unscrew the chair, while another proposed she get out the same way she'd gotten into it. When nothing worked, Joe called the fire department and documented the rescue effort in a video that subsequently gained millions of views. Firefighters initially tried to use bolt cutters, but then brought in a hydraulic cutter that's typically used to free car crash victims. Joe, who lived on a college campus, was successfully released from the chair and told her rescuers that she'd gotten trapped as part of a school project, in lieu of the ironic truth, which she subsequently revealed on social media. Joe was a stuck fetish content creator in which her followers would pay a fee to watch her get trapped in some way and, in the young woman's words, actually struggle to get out, like not fake it at all. Joe claimed to usually create situations which she knew offered the possibility of escaping, and that the chair predicament had been the first time she was actually stuck. Joe described the incident as really scary, but also as probably the best stuck video she'd ever made. Thanks for watching. Would you rather be stuck on a remote island or in a loveless relationship? Let us know in the comments section below.